Welcome to the CTOX podcast. This is the place to be if you're a technology leader navigating the fractional CTO landscape. I'm Marisa Brassfield, joined by Lior Weinstein, the visionary behind CTOX.
Here, we cut through the noise to deliver actionable insights for CTOs at every stage, whether you're looking at your first five-figure client or actively building systems to scale.
That's right. You'll learn principles, not just tactics, to transform your technical expertise into a thriving fractional practice. Let's dig in. Welcome back to the CTOX podcast. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite leadership models, which is firefighters versus sprinkler systems. And this is a conversation that we have a lot at CTOX when we start talking about when fractional CTOs go and start working inside of businesses and they diagnose the teams and what's going on, and then they run our functional technology framework to start streamlining the operations and really creating systems for inevitable growth. But I love how you break this down and what's a firefighter? What's a sprinkler system? How does a fractional CTO create that bridge?
Yeah, this was born out of, having gone to a few big companies and big teams, very successful. The executives have been together for many years. And usually I come in and for the first quarter, I kind of take note on what they pay attention to. Usually what happens is certainly on the C-suite, the leadership level, you get, emails, Slack messages, Teams messages about random things, right? And normally what happens is I don't react because one, I don't know what to do yet. I'm still new in the organization. And I kind of see how they operate. I see if suddenly like at 8 p.m. on a Friday, somebody does something, or if there's a customer email that comes in and the CEO is involved and those kind of things. And I usually kind of make a list. And usually what happens around the first quarter mark, at the end of the first quarter, most companies have like an offsite or a strategy meeting. And I kind of put up the slide showing them all of these different incidents that the team had processed throughout the quarter. And I usually start with like a compliment sandwich and kind of say, you guys are amazing. And like everybody, just like incredible firefighters. Like every time something comes in, we just squash it and everybody goes rah-rah and you're really good at it. And I tell them, but I'm here to install sprinkler systems. And that usually changes the tone of how the organization starts to look at their own troubleshooting for problems. And I kind of explain to them, listen, I'm here to build systems. And what usually happens with tech-enabled businesses is that they don't know how to leverage technology in the right way. They have the basic stuff. They have the communication channels. Maybe they have ticketing systems or CRMs or website stuff. But usually what happens is they really just operate the way a very small team might work with like 1 or 2, 3 people, but they just happen to have grown to a team of 100 or 300. And I explained to them, we need that when we install solutions in the business, those solutions solve any similar problems that comes in the future. And over a period of 3 months, usually what does happen when I show that list is that there's this repeating set of problems. It's the same kind, the server is down. And now they need to send an email to all of their clients because there's a service disruption. Or a client can get somebody on the phone. And it's usually related because the phone number on the website was wrong or, things like that. And I kind of map out the incidents, and let's say there's like 30, and usually it ends up being 4 or 5 of the same thing. Now, they didn't realize that they keep solving for the same thing. And usually if they didn't have a good technology leader, then the excuse was the website is down, so we're restarting the server. And nobody's thinking about why does the website keep coming down. They're just thinking about firefighters. The fire is up, they're bringing in the hose, they're making the place wet. 8 p.m. Friday, everybody's rah-rah, and they're happy that it's resolved, and they're very proud that it's resolved. But I'm here looking at it from the side and kind of thinking about the waste and how we can never scale. If we had twice as many clients, 5 times as many clients, which is what a business wants to do, how could we possibly negotiate through 30 more incidents, over the next quarter? So I give them that metaphor that I'm here to install sprinkler systems, and a good, well-designed sprinkler systems considers where do we need to put all the water entries, what are the smoke detectors, and also how do we fine-tune the smoke detectors, because not everything deserves, an activation, right? And this is an operating model that usually seeps into the company across all different areas, not just technology. But the utility of the metaphor is really give them a way to think about everything now as a system and not just as a single activity.
I love that so much. And I've been the firefighter, and we know and love Dan Sullivan, and he's saying if you're constantly putting out fires, you might be the arsonist. Yeah. And I realized that there are missing elements in my game, and even applying all these mental models that we teach at CTOX to our own business, to our own teamwork and our processes and technology, it creates so much more mental and emotional bandwidth for the fires that do end up happening, because there's the systems and the processes, and we're constantly improving them. Like, there's just more left over to focus on the things that we didn't think about, and then because we're always getting better. So anyway, I just love how we work. And there's something magical too when you are able to enter a team and you're building the rapport and you're starting to learn how everyone communicates, and you're elegantly acknowledging how effective they are at being firefighters, because a lot of team members take pride in their ability to do that. They become almost addicted to becoming busy and thinking that that's the right way to work. And if you need something done, ask a busy person. And those people end up getting burned out. And that costs the organization so much more than just their individual contribution in their role. There's so much that spills over. So I'm hearing you talk about these sprinkler systems, and they really mitigate so many of the other risks that we might not even be thinking about as leaders in an organization. So very elegant.
Yeah, I think it also helps the individual contributors in the company, because, and that's very common, right? Like, people think I'm going to be a hard worker and that's what I'm going to be compensated. In fact, that's a challenge we have in the program. We have CTOs that come in after being, professional busybodies for 20 or 30 years, and their sense of self, their like core sense of identity comes and very much is related to how much they worked.
Yes.
Right, they take pride. They're like, oh yeah, of course, Saturday, 6 p.m. If there's something, I'm gonna be there, right? As if it's like, well, why do you have anything that breaks on Saturday? Like, to begin with, they're not even questioning it. So to see it as a point of pride, and the reality is, again, in the context of growth, and certainly in the context of managing your personal time, you're missing out if you keep solving things anecdotally, esoterically, one by one. When I find that I go into businesses and start talking about it from a leadership level, then they start communicating down to all the ICs, all the individual contributors, the same concept, and it empowers them to not just think, oh, I'm gonna add value by solving this, and then shouting, and showing to everybody how much work I did and the fact that I did it off hours or whatever it is. And then everybody starts to work in the system, especially now, we're in 2025. This is the world of AI, and technology, and everybody's talking about agents, as they should, because it's very profound how everything works. And I think between leadership across all levels, C-suite, management, direction, individual contribution, adding a concept of looking at any problem you have as a system problem cements your position as a technologist and not as like a software developer, right? But it empowers everybody in the organization, so then it truly becomes a tech-enabled business and tech-powered business, as opposed to, the natural startup, Silicon Valley kind of businesses that used to live in that world. So, very useful metaphor. I think that the biggest opportunities that fractional CTOs have, and especially because a lot of it is change management. They come in and they're initiating change. Nobody's hiring a fractional CTO because they think everything is going well. Right? The organization is starving, and because we want clients that can afford to pay us a good amount of retainers, these are significant businesses. They didn't just start last year and they're making $1 million a year or $500,000 a year. So there's a lot of things at risk. For you to be the trusted person that comes in, empowers them, leads them, it also establishes yourself as a leader within the organization and not just a problem solver, but the person that comes in to install systems that solves everybody's problems all the time.
Yeah, beautiful. What's one thing that technology leaders listening right now can do to put this concept into action?
Well, I think use the metaphors. In CTOX, we love metaphors because they're very useful to explain things, right? And that's why, when people are in the program and consume our content, we tell them, hey, use this. Like, go to your clients and say this. We found that the sprinkler metaphor is one of these things that it's easy to understand. There's an instant kind of coin drop when you hear it. And I think that's exactly what they need to do. They need to do what I do when I go to clients. Start listing out all the incidents in the organizations that they're in or they're coming into, and finding a pattern and kind of seeing, here's the theme. I noticed that these 5 things are actually one problem, that happened 5 different times, 5 different incidents, and then share the concepts with whatever C-suite. Now, if you happen to be in a position where you're pitching a client, actually share that as your philosophy. Because when the prospect hears it, they're going to be like, I want a sprinkler system. Nobody likes to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
I mean, they might unconsciously like it.
Yeah.
But very much nobody prefers to do that. Everybody prefers that somebody else puts out the fire, especially if it's a system and not a person.
Yeah, beautiful. That wraps up another episode of the CTOX podcast. We hope today's conversation gave you the tools and inspiration to advance your journey as a fractional CTO.
And don't forget, if you want more in-depth support or to connect with our community of fellow fractional CTOs, visit us at ctox.com.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on the CTOX podcast.